This is Homelink 11.3, a fair game for grade 3 everyday math. To explore probability, play the game Fingers with your child. After 20 games, have your child decide if the game is fair, and then explain why or why not. A game is fair if all players have an equal chance of winning or losing. Okay, here's the directions. Play Fingers at least 20 times. Keep a tally of wins and losses in the table below. Here are the rules for Fingers. This is a game for 2 players. One player tries to guess the number of fingers the other player will throw or display. You, the everyday mathematics student, can throw 1, 2, 3, or 4 fingers. Okay, so these are your choices as the student. Right here. Student choices. The other player can only throw 1 or 2 fingers. So if you play this with mom or dad or Grammy or Grampy, they can only throw 1 or 2. So we'll just say mom or dad. But this is whoever you play it with. All right, and for the student, though, you have all these choices. Players face each other. Each one puts a closed fist on his or her chest. Okay, it could also be behind the back, wherever, but each of you have a closed fist. So this is one player, this is the other player. At the same time, one player counts 1, 2, 3. On 3, each player throws some number of fingers. So it's like 1, 2, 3. Oops, can't throw 5. Alright, so this was one player, this was the other player. This must have been you, because you're the only one that can throw 4 fingers. The other player can only throw 1 or 2 fingers. You can throw 1, 2, 3, or 4. So we'll do it again. 1, 2, 3. So throw the fingers at the same time. While you throw the fingers, you, here, have to try to guess how many your partner's going to throw. So you're going to say 1 or 2. So if you say 2, and only 1 comes out, you lose. If you say 2, and 2 come out, you win. Alright? While you're saying that, this person over here, mom, dad, Grammy, Grampy, older brother, sister, whoever, is going to say 1, 2, 3, or 4. They might say 3, and you throw 3 out. They might say 3, you throw 4 out. They lose if you throw 4 out. Alright? So you don't know how many each person's going to throw out. Only the number you're going to throw out. You're making a guess. Alright? So your choice to say is 1 or 2, and they have to say 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then what you do, so at the same time, both players call out what they think will be the total number of fingers thrown by both players. The player who calls out the correct total wins. So just like I said, if you say 2, and they throw 2, you win. Okay? Now you're also throwing out something, so if you say 2 and they say 3, you win and they lose. Alright? Because they threw out 4. You threw out 4 and they said 3. They threw out 2 and you said 2. So if the number that you say matches, then you win. You get to win. Alright, you have to try the game to get the idea of it. Alright, if neither player calls out the correct total, no one wins. Alright, so let's say they say 1 and you throw out 3, and you said 2 and they threw out 1. Nobody won that one. Okay? Now this is happening at the same time, but there's just one of me teaching right now. If both players call out the correct total, no one wins. Alright? So only there's a winner if one player calls out the correct total and the other one doesn't. So if you said 2 and they said 3, and that was what came out on the fingers, it's a draw. Nobody wins that one, actually. It's like a tie, sort of. Alright? So you can't count it as a win. So if you get a win, which is only if you call that number, if one of you calls the correct number and the other one doesn't. So the player who calls out the correct total wins, and then you write down the wins, you write down the losses. Is this game fair? Alright, the question is this game fair? Down at the bottom. And fair means that each player has the same chance of winning. Alright? I think you can probably guess that since the partner that you're working with has a choice of 4 fingers to call out, that you get to throw 4 fingers, they're picking between 4. So it could be this one, it could be this one, it could be this one, right? It could be 3, it could be 2, it could be 1 finger, it could be all 4 of them. They have a lot of guessing to do, right? But for you, it's much easier. You only have to guess 1 or 2. All right? So that's not really fair, because it's much easier for you to guess 1 or 2 than it is for them to guess 1, 2, 3, or 4. So is the game fair? I would say probably no. And then on the back of this page, explain your answer. Okay, so you have to explain why you think, maybe you think it's fair. All right, and if so, explain why. All right, and then if you don't think it's fair, you also have to explain that. All right, but what I am going to say here is that it's much easier for you to guess 1 or 2 and be correct than it is for your partner to guess 1, 2, 3, or 4 and be correct. Okay, it's much harder to guess that. So this is Homelink 11.3, a fair game for grade 3 everyday math.